Vikings talk. It's Purple Daily on Score North and ScoreNorth.com. Purple Daily, presented by Surly Brewing Company.
I think he had a great night tonight, and there was a reason why we made the initial roster move we did, because we wanted Ryan to feel like, he could come to this stadium today, have his mindset that I'm the punter, I'm going to be the guy, and, what could he do to further kind of enhance the positive feelings we have for him. He hit 2 good punts, and the operation on field goal for both of Greg's kicks were pretty darn good. So he only enhanced himself with me.
God, every time I hear that guy talk, I just become more and more of a KOC stan. They haven't played a game yet, and he's already like my second favorite coach in Vikings history. Bud Graham, maybe third. Maybe he's my because I grew up in the Denny Green era. So he without playing a game yet, Kevin O'Connell is my third favorite coach in Vikings history.
I like where he's headed.
How many games are you? How many seasons are you going to need to see before you?
Oh, I need at least a couple. At least, are you kidding?
Because if they win the Super Bowl the first year, you don't want to be just like a one-hit wonder. So you got to prove it in the second year, right?
If they win the Super Bowl the first year, I will reconsider strongly. But keep in mind, a year in, we all thought, "Oh my God, Rocco's fantastic. Rocco Baldelli, this is going to work. This is great." So I'm just saying, you got to give it some time. I still feel like
Rocco is fantastic. I don't know why they just swept the Giants.
You tried to fire him. You tried to fire him last year.
Okay, how many teams have won more World Series than the Giants in the last 15 years, huh? They just swept the Giants, okay? I don't know what more you want.
Okay, we'll talk about that on Mackie and Judd. Yes, exactly. See? I saved it. I saved it.
Bravo. Self-restraint. This is Purple Daily Vikings Entertainment. Dex got his Before I Die t-shirt on. I got the official Purple Daily hat, and we will make these available at some point again here soon. We'll do another pop-up shop with some other merch, maybe some hoodies, so if you didn't get your merch the first time around, we will definitely have a plan for you going forward. But the show is presented by our friends at TCL, one of the world's best-selling consumer electronics brands. They have a new lineup of award-winning TVs delivering the most entertainment with stunning resolution, all at an affordable cost. Enjoy more of the things you love with TCL and learn more at TCL.com. It's a very exciting day. We're going to do 2 things on today's show now that the preseason games are behind us. The Vikings-Packers home opener, season opener in less than 2 weeks. So later in the show, we will crown our 2022 Mr. Mankato Award winner to the under-the-radar, high-achieving performer of Vikings training camp.
Yep. And to be clear, we are the place it started. So I would just like to point that out. So before we get everyone does that, you guys. Okay, we started it.
Well, yeah, no, it's quite literally our thing. Like this is.
I know, but there's now it's thrown around so much. I just want to make sure that if you are new to our show, which we appreciate, I'm not criticizing you guys. I'm just saying if you don't know, hey, where did this start? It started right here in the studio that I'm sitting in right now.
And so we'll pick a Mr. Mankato winner later in the show. But you have for us. Based on all of your observations, you've been at all of these practices, not all of them because you did have your appendix removed.
Last week when I
so you have missed a couple important practices. Yeah. But you've got a 53-man roster for us.
I do.
This is Judd's final cuts, right? You don't even have to wait till Tuesday, folks. These are Judd's. This is what you would do or what you think they're going to do.
This is what it's a combination, probably a little bit stronger what I think they will do, though.
Okay.
And by the way, I think that this might be, barring just some huge surprises by I think it's 3:00 on Tuesday, this might be the easiest projection I've ever done.
To Judd's point, even like trying to figure out surprise, like realistic. Randy and I are going to do a conversation on this today too on this channel. Just trying to figure out like surprise cuts at this point. Mm-hmm. Like it's kind of hard to really think of it seems like the majority of this roster is in place, and then it's just some other trimming of the fat and other things you want to keep on personal preference. I don't think there's going to be, and old takes expose me here in 3 or 4 days if this actually ends up burning me. I don't think there's going to be like any surprise cuts either. I think most of it's set in stone.
Yeah, and so that's why I think there's got to be something lurking around the corner, but
yes,
because there almost always is in the NFL. Also, keep in mind there's going to be trades in the next 48 to 72 hours. There's going to be, so there might be a 53-man roster that comes out on Tuesday, and then a backup center better than Austin Schlottman is all of a sudden available via waivers. A center or something, or a veteran center. So Anyhow, how do you want to do this? You want to just start with offense and make our way through?
Yes, exactly right.
There you go.
So I have the Vikings keeping a total of 25 players on the offensive side of the football. Let's start with quarterback.
Okay.
I at one point thought that Kellen Mond might be kept as the third QB. It was my contention all throughout training camp the Vikings should go out and acquire a real backup, not by the name of Sean Mannion. It appears that has happened with Nick Mullins. But I now think that the Vikings are going to keep two quarterbacks. I think, obviously, the starter is Kirk Cousins. Mullins, to me, is going to be the backup. Mannion is cut, and in my perfect world, that's just it. Thank you, Sean. You've been great. Go coach. Like you've got a future in football. And I think Kellen Mond is cut, and I think the goal there, and I guess this is what I would do, but the goal, in my opinion, there is he probably, because of what he put on film during the preseason, gets through the waiver process and is re-signed to the practice squad.
See, I think you said no surprises here, but I actually think keeping two quarterbacks instead of three it's a deviation from what we're used to around here, right? I mean, most teams keep three quarterbacks. I haven't done a full audit throughout the league. The Rams did two for a couple years.
It's two a lot more now.
Yeah, I
and
feel
then
like
a third guy in your practice squad.
Yeah.
Okay.
That's been a thing like the last 6 years, right? Because it used to always be three quarterbacks in your 53, and now I think it's more rare to have three unless you're, the Saints who used like 8 different quarterbacks last year because they had so many injuries. Like it's usually just two nowadays.
And so is it teams looking and saying, what are the chances that in a game, if you lose two quarterbacks, that a third guy would have to come in? I mean, how many times does that happen? Now, knock on wood, it is the Vikings. Weird things do happen. It would make some sense. Now, if you lose two quarterbacks during a game, you only have to deal with it for the rest of that game, and then you can bring a third quarterback in,
correct,
on Monday or Tuesday for an emergency situation. So I do like this. This is not what they did the last couple of years under Mike Zimmer, or at least for sure last year under Mike Zimmer. Mm-hmm. But you start to do some crunching on some of these other positions, and would I rather have a third quarterback or a 10th offensive lineman? I think I'd rather have the 10th offensive lineman in case you get a couple injuries, right?
Yes. So to start with, they go with two quarterbacks, Cousins and Mullins. Let's go to running back. I haven't, and I think we discussed this on the special episode of PD that we did Sunday, keeping 4. I have them keeping 4. Mm-hmm. Ty Chandler, Dalvin Cook, Madison, Nwangu, and then just to be clear, CJ Ham, fullback H-back. So he stays too. Okay. So technically, I guess we could say 5, but the point is, and I'll go back to what I keep saying, I think if you tried to sneak Ty Chandler through to the practice squad, he gets claimed. I think that they like him. Yes. He's been good. And so it's probably not the perfect construction for 2022, but long term, I think it's the smart move. So Chandler, Cook, Madison, Nwangu, the one cut then being a guy that played a lot on Saturday night, Bryant Koback.
Yeah. Dude, Ty Chandler, I said it on yesterday's preseason game recap episode. I think he's the second best running back on their roster. And I think Alex Madison is a good backup running back. But just watching the way that he moves, his productivity in college, I see why they were high on him. Yep. And it's been a long time since the Vikings. I get that Cook's under contract for at least the next season or two, and the guaranteed money that he's got on his plate. But it's been a long time since they've just sort of trusted a young, non-first or second round draft pick running back. They've always had Adrian Peterson, and then they went right into the Dalvin Cook era after like a year of Matt Asiata. So this might at some point with Ty Chandler signify a change in philosophy and the way that you allocate your salary cap. Not this year, but maybe starting next year or the year after.
Absolutely. So Ham stays too. So that's 4 running backs and 1 fullback. Wide receiver position. All right. The unfortunate torn ACL, and it's the opposite knee of what he tore in training camp last year for BC Johnson, has caused me, at least for the final cuts on Tuesday, to rethink how many receivers stay. With BC, I was thinking 6, but he has obviously lost for the year now. So now I've actually got that down for right now to 5. Jefferson Naylor, Osborne, Amir Smith-Marset, Thielen, Chisena, Tristan Jackson, Myron Mitchell cut, and then BC Johnson, who I just brought up to the IR. And so I think it gets easier now for the construction purposes of what you're going to have to submit to the league by 3 o'clock on Tuesday to keep 5 instead of 6.
It's a good group right there.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah, heck yeah.
I mean, that is Amir Smith-Marset. If you told me, hey, he's going to have to be your number 2 or number 3 wide receiver for like a month, how do you feel about that? I would say, let's do it. I'm not saying he's like one of the best number 2 receivers in the league. I'm saying I would if that dude had to take 50 snaps in a game, I think he would put up some numbers.
I don't
He's
think
your
I'm being a
fourth guy.
homer when I say the Bears or Packers would take him as their wide receiver 2 right now. He would be, I think, the second best wide receiver on one of those 2 teams, if not both of those 2 teams right now. It's a luxury the Vikings have.
Mm-hmm.
I think Osborne is potentially sitting on a really big year, too.
Oh.
I think he's sitting on a really big year. He is, he took a surprising, unexpected, and very welcome turn from year 1 to year 2 in training camp. But the guy that I saw this year was just damn solid.
Yeah.
Damn solid. And if Kirk is willing to distribute the ball, which he should be, if he finds that JJ and Thielen are covered or not available, I think KJ Osborne becomes not just a viable target, but a really good one. And to your point, Dex, I think KJ Osborne easily would be the top receiver for the Packers or Bears without like any questions. No debate there.
It's true.
He's taken that many steps.
And the 5th guy here, Jalen Naylor, who was the draft pick from a few months ago out of Michigan State, he looked, I mean, just eye test in some of those preseason games, he looked the part of just an NFL wide receiver. And keep in mind, his last 2 years, Power 5 school, tough competition, he averaged just under 20 yards per reception as a sophomore and junior at Michigan State. So a guy that can chunk yards down the field as your 5th sort of stash away project wide receiver. That's one of the strongest position groups they have on the roster.
Absolutely. Absolutely. All right, tight end. Now, tight end, I caution you, is going to be very much in flux. I think if there is one position where the Vikings are going to be examining outside opportunities to bring in guys and potentially bump one of the 4 guys that I'm about to give you as staying for now, it's at this spot. So for the final cuts, I have staying Zach Davidson, who's borderline, and I think if they go get a tight end, he probably then gets cut and in the ideal world defaults to the practice squad. Ben Ellefson, Johnny Mutt, who is the second guy right now, Irv Smith, the top guy, Nick Muse, who I think dropped 2 passes minimum against the Broncos, is gone. I don't know if he's a practice squad guy, but the point being is if there's one position I give you with an asterisk of don't be surprised if the names I gave you, if one of those guys by Wednesday is cut in favor of a different guy, it's at tight end.
Probably one of their weakest position groups here, especially with the uncertainty surrounding Irv Smith. And I will say, not to be, an Irv Smith buzzkill, but the reason why we would even look at the tight end group and say, oh, it's not bad because Irv Smith, it's like Irv Smith hasn't really done anything in his career yet other than just kind of be the second guy to an aging Kyle Rudolph. Correct. So we've still yet to see in practice Irv Smith Jr. at his best because he's always hurt. So we'll see.
Now, can I go just briefly X's and O's football geeky, though, too? Because I want to tell you why. I want to tell you why the tight end position, as we think about it, doesn't look great, but I think it's fine. CJ Ham is going to be an H-back. So, I think you would lump him in more with the tight ends than the backs. And because I think ultimately CJ Ham is going to play something far closer to what the Kleinsasser role was than we've seen since Jim left.
So he'll be there to sort of, if needed, he can run routes out of the backfield and be an extra
Block.
Pass catcher. He can chip and help either of the tackles if needed, right? He can step up against blitzes. Okay.
Exactly right. All right. At the center position, I will tell you I remain very concerned. Kenny Clark, then the Eagles. I don't like this. I didn't sleep well last night because of this.
Yeah.
At the center position, I have two being kept. Obviously, the starter, Garrett Bradbury, Austin Schlottman, who also can play guard, Josh Sokol, who was signed as an undrafted free agent, I think is going to be cut, and I think he is a practice squad guy. And I guess you know what here? I'm just curious. I'm just curious if the Vikings saw enough, or if they're privately concerned, or if they think Schlottman can back up but Bradbury, where if Garrett struggles, Schlottman can play. This is the position I am just flat out the most curious about. I would love to know the inner thinking, really, of what they think about this one.
I think the best thing you can say about the state of the center position for the Vikings is maybe it'll improve because maybe the guards are better. Like, isn't that, like, to me, that's the hope. The hope is less about, maybe Bradbury can just become this different player than he's been the first 3 years. It's more, hey, Ezra Cleveland has become a pretty decent left guard, and Ed Ingram, he won that right guard job going away 3 weeks ago. Second round pick talent, LSU. But maybe if those guys are better and take a step forward and there's more cohesiveness, then maybe the water level just rises on the interior and Garrett Bradbury or Austin Schlottman are better by association.
You are damning with faint praise, my friend.
Well, that would be nice if that happened, I'm saying.
No, I agree with you, but I'm just saying, like, that's why I would love to know what they are when they have conversations about this spot. I would love to know, are they like, we'll fix this still? Are they like, did you see that training camp film? We are in trouble. Like, I don't know. That's the one where I'm not confident that I have any clue what the real thought process is about Garrett Bradbury.
Yeah. Is there any question at all whatsoever about who the starting center week 1 is? It is Bradbury, right?
It's Bradbury. No debate.
Okay.
Zero debate. And Kenny Clark is down Highway 29 right now, licking his chops.
And so just to clarify one more thing here. Now that the offseason is basically over, every practice now going forward is meant to prepare for Green Bay. They're no longer are they might be installing a few things here and there, but it's all now focused on Green Bay.
Play the football sounder. Yes.
Okay.
Let's go, baby. Let's do it, baby. All right, let's go get it.
So we made it through the entire offseason, and no one took a rep from Garrett Bradbury, right? There wasn't one competitive rep. Now, I get that. Like the first team preseason offensive lines, Schlottman was the first team center in those games because they didn't put Bradbury in.
No, you're right.
So he didn't. So there was not at one point, not Chris Reed, not Schlottman. Nobody stole a first team rep from Garrett Bradbury. He was just the first team center throughout the entire offseason, right?
The last person to steal a first team rep from him was Mason Cole.
That's incredible.
Last season.
But it kind of speaks to, and you heard the clip that Declan played off the top about the punting situation. Ryan Wright said, we wanted Ryan Wright to feel comfortable, confident going into that third preseason game. We wanted to sort of compound the good vibes so that he feels great about himself, that this is a celebration of you winning the job, and we want you to feel fully comfortable. And he does. The guy goes out and kicks a couple 70-yard punts. That's awesome. And I think they're applying that philosophy to Bradbury, which is, hey, man, so the first thing we had to do was tell you that we're not going to pick up your fifth-year option. From that point, which is a pretty tough thing to have to do. Hey, welcome to the team. I'm the new coach. Oh, by the way, one of the first things we're going to do is we don't think you're good enough to exercise your fifth-year option. So we're going to spend the next 5 months telling you how much we actually do love you. We're going to show it with our reps. We're going to show it with the way that we communicate with you. I think they're trying to build up positive vibes for Bradbury. And now they're crossing their fingers and hoping that, hey, he feels like he's part of this thing. They're pumping energy into coaching him and teaching him the new scheme and stuff. And that's how I figure it. We'll see if it works.
Did they watch film of training camp? All right, let's move on. More positives now. Offensive tackle, I got 3 guys. Blake Brandel as the swing backup. Obviously, Christian Darrisaw at left tackle. Brian O'Neill at right tackle, therefore being cut. Vidarian Lowe, who I think is going to probably be signed to the practice squad. Timon Paris. And a guy I was a little bit on the border about, but I think he's probably cut. the unfairly put at right guard in 2021, and now he's back at tackle and actually isn't nearly as bad because tackles his position, Oli Udoh.
So he's gone. You think he's gone?
I'm borderline on that one. I think he is. And look, if he gets cut, it's no surprise. But I think Blake Brandel is probably their choice to be that swing guy, where if one of the two starters goes down, they plug him into what for years seemed to be the Rashad Hill spot.
And three, I don't want to get ahead here because I know you have another position group, but 3 tackles seems light because you have 2 starting tackles and then you have a swing tackle. But if you have Jesse Davis making the team as a guard, he was a starting tackle for the Dolphins last year. Not very good at it, but he has been a starting tackle in the NFL before, so he could slide out if needed.
Exactly right. So, 3 tackles stay. As far as guard goes, which is the last offensive position I've got, I have 4 staying. Ezra Cleveland starts at left guard. Jesse Davis makes the team. Now, he was battling for the starting position with Ingram when training camp started at right guard, but I think the last 2 preseason games he's been plugged in more at left guard, which indicates to me that the goal there is for him to be the swing guard. So if one of the 2 guards goes down, he can step in. Ingram obviously makes the team. And the final one, and this is, I guess, sort of the borderline between Udoh and this guy, but because this guy, his versatility interior-wise is probably greater, Chris Reed stays. Yeah. So Cleveland, Davis, Ingram, Reed with Kyle Hinton being cut, and also one of the great, just complete baffling busts of the last probably 10 years, just as far as, he's going to start. No, he's going to be cut, Wyatt Davis.
Yeah, it's a 3rd-round pick, man. 3rd-round pick just gone after 18 months. Regime change and all that stuff. And so it's more likely that it would happen with a regime change, but that's pretty incredible. So, all right, so there you go. So you're keeping 9 offensive linemen: Bradbury, Schlottman, Blake Brandel, Christian Darrisaw, Brian O'Neill, Ezra Cleveland, Jesse Davis, Ed Ingram, Chris Reed. Nice mix of young sort of 1st, 2nd round pick talent with veterans that have been around for a few years. So I like this. Before we get to the defense, a couple things here. Reminder that on the Purple Daily YouTube channel, right after every single Vikings game, we produce the most fan-friendly, interactive show in all of Minnesota sports. It is called Vikings Vent Line. It started off for years as a radio call-in show on 1500 ESPN. And the last couple seasons, we've moved it entirely over to YouTube. We bring you guys, the fans, into the video with us, and we spend a couple hours after every single game. Just we rant, we rave. If they win, we celebrate. But we mostly just turn the show over to you guys, and it has just become this amazing phenomenon that you've helped us build. It is the place to be after Vikings games are over. So again, Purple Daily YouTube channel, and then on demand, you can find it on the Purple Daily podcast feeds right after we're done with the live show. So be checking us out after the Packers and Vikings are done in a couple Sundays from now. Also, a shout out to our friends who have helped Judd lose 40 pounds starting last football season.
Yes, that of course, and I've been talking about it for months now. My friends at Livia Weight Control Centers. You know, I got 2 notes. I got a tweet on Saturday of a guy who had dropped lots of weight, and then I got a note last night. I think this guy said, I'm down 32 pounds. And you know what? Join us now on the bandwagon that is Weight Loss Clothes Fit. And right now, it is the end of summer offer. 50% off. 50% off. Dawn joined me about 2 months ago. She's down almost 20 pounds. I think it's 16 and counting. As Phil just said, I'm down 40 pounds. Most importantly, I am keeping that weight off. Teamwork, it's fantastic. So like you and the girlfriend join, the wife, it's great. 855-GO-LIVEA, Livia.com, LIVEA.com. Join a growing group of people who are Purple fans, PD fans, and you know what? Fans of weight loss too. Livia.com.
You look better in your golf clothes too, right? Get down to Meadows at Mystic with your new skinny body and your white belt.
Yeah, Judd, want to come down with me?
Well, yeah. Yeah, I'd love to.
You know?
Of course, I need some clubs first.
My girlfriend tried on my clothes the other day as a prank.
I saw this
for me.
I saw it on TikTok.
Yeah,
last
she
night.
as a nice little prank for me. So why don't I put Judd in one of my golf polos? I think that'd be an excellent idea as we head to Meadows at Mystic Lake. I think that'd be an awesome idea. Unbutton the top one. I think it'd be great.
You know what, Dex? You are so thin. You are so thin that I'm not going to subject myself to that.
All right. Well, I'll be at the Meadows at Mystic Lake, a scenic golf experience. You can book your tee time at golfthemeadows.com to learn more. Golfthemeadows.com. It's got a full-service golf shop, a great patio, too, to enjoy a nice cold one before or even after your round. Book your tee time now at the Meadows at Mystic Lake. Golfthemeadows.com.
Oh, we actually have breaking Vikings roster news on the defensive side leading into the rest of this 53-man roster.
Yes, what do we got?
Oh, yeah.
So I don't know if you had him on the final cuts. Well, actually, your first category here in our note sheet is defensive line. So I'll save you one. Adam Schefter reporting the Vikings are releasing T.Y. McGill.
Yep.
Journeyman,
I've got him being cut.
defensive lineman. What a freaking preseason he had. Just pressures all over the place.
It's a good move. It's a good move.
Okay. I mean,
8 years in.
Well, go ahead. Let's go through your. So we did the 25 offense. I feel like he deserved. He got injured. I feel like he deserved a shot, but he is an old guy. He's like 28, 29 years old. So
I'm an old guy myself, so like I'm pro old people. But you know what? In football, nah. If this guy was like second year, I'd be like, hell yeah.
But
Let's
he
give
proved
this a
that
go.
the preseason games should just be canceled. What is the point? If you're gonna play like he did in those preseason games,
I can argue. Yeah.
If you play the way that guy did in those 2 preseason games, why are you even there if you're not going to make the team? If I were him, and I'm not saying it's the wrong move, there's a reason why he's been on 15 different teams in the 7 years or whatever he's been in the NFL. I'm not saying that he's going to move the needle in the regular season, but
yeah, I hear you.
But if you're him and you show up, all right, I signed in good faith. I put in all this work in the offseason, and then I looked like that in the first 2 preseason games and terrorized opposing quarterbacks, and I can't make the team. So I was literally just a warm body during training camp to fill out a roster. That's what he was, right?
Keep going. You're exactly right.
Okay,
yes.
I'm just saying.
Yes.
It's unfortunate, but I'm sure he'll find a coaching gig like Sean Mannion somewhere.
No, he can go. You know what? He had a great camp. Go show your wares to the Jacksonville Jaguars. Go show your wares to a bad team. You might get a job, but 8 years in, All right, so defensive line, 5 guys being kept. Jonathan Bullard being kept, depth guy. Asezi Otamu, is that correct? The former golfer being kept?
I think you're pretty close, yes.
I forgot to look up the damn pronunciation, which I've done the last 2 times, but for the life of me, it has not stuck in my brain. So I've got him as the second guy. Again, young player, depth guy. Harrison Phillips, Dalvin Tomlinson, Armin Watts are the 3 to the 4. So those 3 start. So 5 guys on the defensive line being cut or kept cut. James Lynch, as Phil just said, Schefter reporting T.Y. McGill, T.J. Smith, and Jalen Twyman. Jalen Twyman, I think, almost certain to be brought back to the practice squad.
Yep. James Lynch, a fan favorite there for a couple of years, too. It's kind of a fun-looking football player.
And he might make it. He might make it.
Yeah.
He might make it. But I'm just
saying,
saying,
you need a guy that looks like James Lynch on your team, don't you?
That's why.
But they already kind of have a guy that looks like James Lynch in Harrison Phillips.
I was going to say, yeah.
The big burly guy with barbed wire tattoos or something.
Loves to eat. Yeah, exactly right.
So, all right, so 5 guys who make up the 3 in the 3-4. Now we go to the 4 part of the 3-4.
Oh, God, yeah, exactly right. Outside linebacker, which in the new Vikings verbiage now means guys that are going to bring the pressure. Guys that are going to bring the pressure. They might stand up on some downs. They might put a hand down on the next. You don't know what they're going to do, and these 5 are going to do it. Danielle Hunter, Patrick Jones II, Janarius Robinson, depth guy again, Zadarius Smith, DJ Wanham. In my opinion, Jones and DJ are the primary backups. Hunter and Smith obviously will be counted on to bring the noise against the Packers on September 11th.
This is a really intriguing group here because if everyone's playing at their best, you've got 2 of the best in the league in Danielle Hunter and Zadarius Smith. You've got a couple really intriguing young players in Janarius Robinson, and I would say even more so Patrick Jones. And then DJ Wanham's he has shown, I don't think he has a super high ceiling, but he has shown if needed, he can come in and get some pressures, and he's pretty versatile too. So that is the position group that probably makes or breaks this defense. If Zadarius Smith and Daniil Hunter are healthy and productive, this defense can be a top 10 defense. If they aren't, I don't know who's going to get regular pressure unless a Patrick Jones comes in and, if given the opportunity, looks excellent as an every snap guy. So,
yep. And that if those 5 are indeed the 5 OLBs that are kept, that leaves Zach McLeod and Luigi Villain on the outside. Both of them might actually be practice squad guys.
Okay. All right. Now we move to the inside part of the 4 in the 3-4.
Okay. So this actually caused me, as I put together this list on Sunday, some consternation. Because I've been assuming something, and I now think it was wrong, and I'm going to tell you why. So the 5 kept, obviously, Asamoah, who I think has had a really good camp. I think he's going to play. He's going to contribute. He flies around. We've talked about a lot. Now he plays, in my opinion, like a linebacker / safety. Troy Dye, I think, stays. Partially, when we have this discussion, it's based on special teams. So Troy Dye, special teams guy / depth guy at the inside linebacker position stays. Jordan Hicks starts. Eric Kendricks starts. Now here's where I had some consternation. Conundrum hit me. I now have them keeping 2021 third-round pick, 1 of 4, Chaz Surratt, who I have been predicting would be cut. And here's why I now think he stays. He was inactive Saturday. I think if you're going to cut a guy, you wanted to see him play. Mm-hmm. And here's why I think he stays. I think he and Dye are valued a lot, special teamers. So I think I've been wrong. I think I was regarding Chaz as, well, it's sort of a failed experiment. College quarterback to linebacker. But when they scratched him and didn't play him, I don't think that you would say this guy sucks so bad that we're not gonna play him in the last preseason game. So I now think that Surratt stays around as the 5th guy at this position group, and most importantly, Phil, again, because probably he brings an ability on special teams that it's not like I was closely watching the depth special teams guys in training camp.
Let me ask you, because a lot of the roster decisions, not a lot, but like a chunk of your decision-making process is forward-looking. It is 2023, 24, right? So if there's some young players that you feel like might have a chance to be a starter in 2 or 3 years, you would maybe make that roster move over keeping a veteran, right?
Yep.
Eric Kendricks essentially has 1 year left on his contract. He might actually have. I think he actually has one actual year left on his contract.
Sure.
And then Jordan Hicks, I think it was a 2-year deal, but it's a 1-year deal essentially. Yes. And those guys are both around 30 years old.
Yes.
How does that position group look beyond the life of Jordan Hicks and Eric Kendricks? Or even if one or both of those guys goes down this season, is Asamoah a guy? I think the answer is yes. I'm not saying he's going to step in and be as good as Eric Kendricks, but how does this position group look beyond the 2, stalwart veteran inside offensive linebackers?
2 different questions there. In my opinion, if Kendricks or Hicks or both go down in 2022, Asamoah steps in, and I think Troy Dye steps in.
Okay.
But again, here's where it gets dicey, and here's where we need to at least change our thought process of what we think they're going to do, because we still regard our thought process as what would Zim do, right? I think if both of the starting inside linebackers went down, that they would carve out more packages with Lewis Cine as well. So, I don't think Dye would step in and, oh my God, he's just taking all the snaps now. I think Dye would step in and play in packages, but I think that if Hicks and Kendricks couldn't play for a game or 2, Asamoah plays for sure, but I think Cine plays more.
Boy,
and so Dye plays.
But you've got Cine making the team then. We haven't gotten to the safeties yet.
I'm sorry. Yeah, I'm sorry. He couldn't even win the starting job. He's a flop.
Coward. He's a coward.
So anyway.
All right.
Blake Lynch gone too. Then so.
Now we move
Sorry,
into the
Blake.
secondary here.
Sorry, Blake. Yes, cornerbacks. I have 6 being kept. Again, this is with regards to, yes, the position's incredibly important, but yes, this is also where you siphon off certain players for special teams purposes, right? Here are the 6. He's hurt right now. I think that they think that he'll be set for the opener. He will not start. It's an ankle problem. Andrew Booth Jr. He's my first guy being kept. The second guy I have gone back and forth on a lot. But I think he gets kept, and I think he gets kept in part because, one, he knows the defensive system as a depth guy again, which is incredibly important, but 2, he can play special teams, Chris Boyd. He can be dumb on special teams at times, but he can definitely play it.
Yeah.
Third guy, starter at right corner, September 11th against the Green Bay Packers, Cam Dantzler. Fourth guy, special teams ace in my opinion, but a guy who I'm not going to be surprised if he at least challenges for a starting role in 2023, draft pick again from 2022, Caleb Evans. Patrick Peterson starts. I think he's probably his last year here, barring him just being great, but I think he's probably in his last year as a Viking. And then the nickel corner for at least 2022, Shannon Sullivan, the former Packer. That means Nate Hairston, Perry Nickerson, and Ty Smith get cut. And Phil, to your point before about what would happen post Kendricks and Hicks, I do believe that the cornerback position as well, I would not be surprised one bit if a year from now we're talking about Peterson being gone and also Shannon Sullivan being a 1 year and done guy.
Yeah, this makes sense. I think this is a pretty easy position group here. And you're going to need guys from the cornerback, safety, linebacker groupings to be heavily involved in special teams, punt units, kick units, etc. So a couple of these guys are going to see more action, like Chris Boyd on special teams, than they hopefully ever would in the actual defense, but this makes sense.
And now we're down to the last position group, the one at which earlier in this episode I completely spoiled everything by revealing his name. The safety group. 4 guys being kept. Again, keep in mind, this isn't just for the position. It's another absolutely key special teams place. Cam Bynum, who starts. Question is, how long does he start? Clock's ticking, Cam. Lewis Seen makes it. Josh Metellus?
I believe it's Metellus.
Metellus.
Yes.
Okay. He makes it. And then, of course, the hitman, Harrison Smith. In that world, then, cutter Mike Brown, who actually made some nice plays against the Broncos on Saturday, and Miles Dorn, who also made a few nice plays. 4 safeties being kept.
There you have it. Judd's, and then
I'm not
formality
special
here.
teams.
The special
I'm
teams.
not special teams. What happens there?
Go ahead.
Greg Joseph, the leg, the greatest kicker since George Blanda, since
George Blanda was not a good kicker.
Since Groza, since Freddie Cox, straight ahead. The punter, of course, I think it's safe to say after the performance he put on Saturday, despite my concerns about his ability to hold, and by the way, he did a great job on Saturday, so hopefully that's now gone. Ryan Wright, and long snapper Andrew DePola.
There you go.
That's 53.
That is the Vikings 53-man roster, according to Judd Zolgad. So, let us know if you guys agree, disagree. Hit us up in the YouTube comment section. We will find out the actual 53-man roster, at least the first iteration of it. What's the cut down time on Tuesday?
I believe it's 4 o'clock Eastern, 3 o'clock Central, if I'm not mistaken.
So they'll be handing out those pink slips in lockers. Bring your team issued tablet in awkwardly to the GM's office. Can't be easy having to sit there and dash the hopes of 40 plus different players. But that's
how many guys are really surprised?
Probably not. That many.
I've always thought that though. Like, how many guys are like, I can't believe I'm being cut.
Yeah, I was playing with 3 minutes to go in the fourth quarter of the third preseason game.
It's so telegraphed now.
Yeah, it is. And there's enough, out on the internet, there's enough people that cover teams that are doing roster projections and stuff. If you never see your name on a 53-man roster projection, if you have the internet and you read Twitter and stuff, you shouldn't be that caught.
But I'm Wyatt Davis. You can't cut me. Yeah. Actually, dude, you never played
This isn't a Ralph Cox 1980 Miracle on Ice situation. No one's really that surprised, I think, by the end of it.
So, well, you know what I would do? I think if I were the Vikings, I would, for everyone that I'm cutting, I would just hand them a celebratory Surly. Hey, listen, you fulfilled your dream of being in an NFL training camp. This is a celebration, really. It's not the end of the road. It's the beginning of a road to you drinking a Surly.
You know what? I love this. I love this thought. And here's what I think would be the absolute best play, okay? Call guys in, Sit down, Wyatt. What's up? What I'm about to tell you is going to make you furious. But before I tell you it, here's a 6-pack that you can start sipping on right now of Surly Furious, an absolutely outstanding beer, so you can chill out while I tell you that you are one of the worst third-round picks this franchise has ever made. But congratulations, because you just got a 6-pack that's outstanding. And let me also remind you, I know we don't want to hear this, all right? But you know what's coming, boys? Because football is on the horizon now. Fall is coming. And that means the Surly lineup of fall beers is coming too. And it is outstanding. For all we push back, winter, I don't want to talk about it. Let me tell you right now, what you do want to talk about is the ability to tailgate, the ability to pull up a chair in front of the TV or get on the couch to watch the big game, and you can do it with any numerous of fantastic products, fantastic beers. Surly Brewing, check them out. You'll be glad you did.
Let's also shout out our friends over at Underdog. With the season approaching, it's a great place to get your fantasy fix in, Dex.
Absolutely. Who says preseason football games aren't interesting? Look at this. Little sweat out during the Vikings-Broncos game on Saturday. Okay, Brett Rippon with 160 passing yards, and he was just going to get the first half. There was no way he was going to get it. And you know what? I was right. 137 passing yards. Tristan Jackson hauled in a couple balls. That got me a nice little payout on Underdog Fantasy. Now that the real thing starts here in about a little less than 2 weeks, I'm Jack from with my friends at Underdog Fantasy. We're going to start doing some fantasy football leagues during the season as well here with Judd and myself. So you can join Underdog Fantasy. Promo code SCORE, SKOR. They'll match your first deposit up to $100. Also some great pick'em options across all sports, college football, basketball, MLB, NHL. There's plenty of options at Underdog Fantasy. Join now, the Underdog Fantasy app.
And our friends at Federated are helping to underwrite the show here, so to speak, at Purple Daily and Score North. And they're here to help power your business to new heights through risk management tools and resources. Federated's corporate culture is grounded in equity, integrity, teamwork, and respect. They apply those 4 cornerstones to all interactions and decision-making, including your business. Find out how you can partner with Federated at federatedinsurance.com, where it's our business to protect yours. It is time to crown a Mr. Mankato winner here. And I'm going to go back and reference the list of finalists that Judd put out, I think it was a week ago. That's right.
Thank you.
Oh, there he is, Mr. Mankato.
You had 5 finalists.
There
Tristan Jackson, wide receiver. Brian Asamoah, linebacker. Patrick Jones, linebacker. Jalen Twyman, defensive tackle. And Ty Chandler, running back. Did anyone else sort of at the last minute jump into the finalist group that you'd want to include? And why don't you talk us to your winner here?
All right, so I would say no, but full disclosure, because of the appendectomy, I missed that last week of camp. So, I didn't see it. There was no one I saw in Saturday's game that I thought deserved to be put on that list. There were certainly guys on that list that took steps backwards. Tristan Jackson I really liked, but he had a drop pass. You can't drop that pass.
What about Ryan Wright?
A punter.
He did have a 71-yard
he's a great
punt.
story. He's a great story. No,
I think he emerged into the finalist group, at the last minute. I feel like I just want to throw his name out there.
You could put him down.
He's a punter that generated buzz in training camp. That's pretty impressive.
Yeah, you know what? I can't do it. But you can. I can't do it. I'm not doing punters here. I'm doing offensive, defensive. I'm doing guys that hit. I'm doing guys that sweat. I'm doing guys that play football.
Well, just to clarify, too, one thing on the Mr. Mankato front. So this is about it's third-round picks or later, and it's non-established NFL players. So, so if you're a first-round pick or a second-round pick, like Ed Ingram, sorry, you already came in with high expectations. So we're looking at the guys who are fringe roster guys. Maybe they have no chance to make the team, but damn it, they showed up, and people know their name now because of what happened during the training camp and preseason portion. And I'm not stumping for him to be a winner, but Ryan Wright fits all of those things. Not established NFL player, not a first or second round draft pick, and by the end of the exercise, because of his good performance, you know that guy's name. So just some love to the 240-pound punter. That's all. I just want to give that to him.
It's very nice of you. I appreciate that. All right, so let's go back to the football players. So I would say, in my opinion, off that list of 5, there are 2.
All right.
Ty Chandler, Asamoah. I would say that those are the 2. Now, given what I saw in totality in training camp practices and in games, I personally would say Asamoah, because I think that between those 2 things, from what I saw with my own 2 eyes, he flashed the most. But Chandler was very good, and I think Phil might go in that direction. But those are the 2 to me that clearly emerged after I submitted that list a week and a half ago, probably, of the 5 finalists.
See, Chandler, let's have a discussion here, because I agree on your 2 finalists, final finalists. Those are the 2 guys that kept popping up, the guys that on both sides of the ball, people kept talking about making plays, looking different on the field. Ty Chandler, it's easier to quantify his production via statistics because he's a running back.
Correct.
And so what I'm about to do is not fair to Brian Asamoah, but I feel like it should be recognized. Of all of the running backs who played in at least 20% of team snaps in preseason, and there were, I don't know, like 150 of them or something. So a lot. Ty Chandler was 5th in... Let me get this here. He was 3rd in yards per attempt. He was 5th in yards after contact, and he was 9th overall in total rushing yards. And he had 15 total carries. A lot of these other guys had like 35, 38, 28. And so he was, by all measurements, one of the most productive running backs of all running backs in preseason for the Vikings. Now, I think Asamoah, he can flash more in the games as a running back because it's you can tally the yardage and stuff.
Right.
If you could go back to the beginning of camp, like the first 2 or 3 weeks of camp before the games were being played, I feel like Asamoah was the one that you and others were talking about on the ground at practice.
Right.
So it kind of feels like Asamoah built the bricks and the groundwork for weeks and weeks and weeks, less flashier position. Ty Chandler came in with the spotlight on him, national audience on NFL Network, right, or Fox or whatever, and he put up more of the glitz and the glam stats. So I would have no problem going with either one of these guys. I think they're both very worthy of Mr. Mankato status. Dex, do you have any thoughts on this?
Go ahead.
I think it's easier to put Chandler because he's more of the skill position guy. He flashes easier, right? Like just if you're looking at a running back versus linebacker, Chandler's had some big explosive plays, but I think Asamoah has impressed more just overall in the practices and things from behind the scenes. It just seems like he's going to have, I think, more of an opportunity to be on the field in 2022 in the regular season than Chandler will. Barring injuries. So I think I'd have to tip the cap to the linebacker. I think I will give it to Asamoah.
I want to be clear that the last thing Declan said does not factor into the Mr. Mankato criteria.
True.
It is only Declan's thought.
Yeah,
whether they make the team or not doesn't necessarily, because you could have a stacked position group and you had no chance from the beginning. But everything else is valid to the discussion here.
I feel like what he did on the practice fields needs to be weighed a lot because, it's just so clear that this team and this league entirely has shifted so much towards practices, which, by the way, is fine. That I think the fact that he flashed in practices quite a bit gets more weight now than ever. So, yeah, I'm going Asamoah, but Chandler impressed me too. So I think those two to me are the clear-cut guys.
then let's make it official. Congratulations, Brian Asamoah. You are the 2022 Mr. Mankato Award winner, joining the likes of Adam Thielen and Stephon Diggs, Marcus McCauley, backdated to 2007, some of the luminaries in Vikings history. Congratulations,
McCauley.
Brian Asamoah.
Oh, my God. Those were the days.
Are we going to get him a styrofoam cooler and some Funyuns from
No,
a gas
'cause-
station like we got
no.
Adam Thielen?
We stopped that because he didn't really like him. He just left him. He just threw it aside.
What would happen if you walked into the Vikings practice facility with a styrofoam cooler, some
Probably be arrested.
Funyuns, a comb?
I'd probably be arrested now.
I just want to talk to Brian Asamoah, sir.
Sir, put your hands behind your back. You have the right to remain silent.
Can I keep the Funyuns? Yeah, you can keep the Funyuns. That's fine. So,
yeah.
all right.
Oh,
there you go.
congratulations.
Another Mr. Mankato crowned here on the original home for Mr. Mankato, Mackie and Judd.
Damn right.
All right. We will, at some point in the next week, be picking the Vikings wins and losses for the final time before the regular season. And don't forget to check out a couple of our new spin-off shows here on the Purple Daily Podcast feed and YouTube channel. Realistic Randy Rants with Declan every Monday. And Before We Die with Jesse Pierce and Thor Nystrom every Monday and Thursday with Ross Brendel producing that. You've been able to see Declan's face on that show, too, here and there throughout the last couple weeks. So check those out. Let us know what you think. And we'll see you guys tomorrow on Purple Daily, Daily Vikings Entertainment.